Yep. Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back.
We are Top Tier Play, and we're about to play the top tier.
I like what you did there.
Today, we're going to be talking about a little Frostpunk action.
Frostpunk.
And that is not a genre. That's a game.
That's
You know how they say, like, steampunk?
yeah.
No, this is Frostpunk.
Yeah.
So, when you think of steampunk, think, like, Victorian era mixed with, like, mechanical inventions, future, stuff like that. With Frostpunk, it's Victorian England, but mixed with post-apocalyptic freezing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ice Age.
Yeah, the Ice Age. Basically the next Ice Age.
Yeah.
So, general overview, it's like a city building survival game, in a way. So, the general plot is the entire world is just frozen over.
Mm-hmm.
Very simple stuff.
Hell hath frozen over,
Yep.
as they say.
And you are part of like a survivor force that has set up a generator in this like little, I guess like little nook.
Canal.
Yeah,
Type
it's
thing.
like a sunken in crater. And you set up a generator and you build a city around it, and that supplies the heat for your city, and you expand from there as you like find other things and other resources.
I'm so stoked about this episode.
Yeah.
I'm
I
ready to go.
actually forgot that you had played
Really?
Frostpunk. Yeah. So
I love it, bro.
Yeah.
I'll come back to it
yeah,
all the time.
yeah. I just recently, like this year, did a new playthrough on hard mode and did like all the DLC and everything.
See, I usually... I'm a wuss, dude. I just go and create, like, that version of creative mode and
Yeah.
just build it out as big as I can.
Yeah, their creative mode is sick. I haven't gotten a chance to try like their full sandbox
Yeah.
mode. I tried like endless
It's
once.
just a little boring.
Yeah,
You do it at the sandbox.
yeah. The endless one was kind of just. It kind of got boring after
Yeah.
like the 20-day mark, and then
Mhm.
it just kept doing the same thing over and
Repetitive.
over, and it's like I can't expand anymore. And I've only got this much space to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was like a very interesting game because it's mixing so many genres, because it's not just city building.
Mhm.
It's also trying to make sure none of your people die.
Yeah, because the numbers count.
Yeah, because every single person counts, because you only have so many people that can work jobs.
And people can die fast.
And if they get sick, they're not working that job, unfortunately. But it's
Yeah.
also like negative 40 degrees outside, so
Yeah.
maybe don't.
Get out there and work.
Yeah. Let's talk about difficulty.
Okay.
So, how difficult did you find the game at the beginning?
I remember going into it, I was very, like... It was like I had to take a second look at everything as far as the mechanics went, because it was like... It's not real. It's built on a circular shape,
Yeah.
a circular grid. So it was very kind of off-putting, because
It's
I've
very
never
different.
done any like that
Yeah.
before in a city builder.
So like the entire city is built around. Well, the generator is a circle, so
Yeah.
it's like everything is like based on that circle.
Where you plot things down,
Yeah.
it's circular.
It's all circular. And usually city builders are just like you
Square.
can just place it anywhere, and it's
Yeah.
square. So you can just
You put the town hall
Yeah,
over
you got
there.
roads you
You
can
put
go.
the garbage cans over there.
Yeah, but when you're building in Frostpunk, it's like you're expanding out from that, radius. It's
Yeah,
pretty
and the
interesting.
radius is less covered as you grow. So
Right.
it adds another aspect of survival because you're worried about heat too.
Right.
When as usually you're worried about weapons, food, and
Yeah.
I don't know, places to sleep, room for people.
Yeah.
But
It's usually like, wood, stone,
mhm.
any steel, and then anything else besides that.
Heat's a whole new thing
Yeah.
in this game.
Yeah,
so
heat is never like really a thing you ever
a crucial thing.
consider.
You don't have to worry about your guys freezing to death usually,
Yeah.
but this game it does that.
It's like that is the entire focus. They even have like an overlay where you can see like how hot a building is
Yeah.
and stuff. So, I guess we can go over the resources. So like it's a fairly complex game, but the resources they don't have a lot of resources.
It's pretty simple.
It's like it's wood, steel, and then coal, which
And
is
food.
going to be your main source of heat, powering all your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's for the generator too.
Yeah.
And then you have raw food and rations.
Yeah.
And then technically people are your other resources.
Well, there is one more resource.
Oh,
Prosthetics.
no. Almost. Steam cores.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Steam
I know.
cores. Well, prosthetics are a resource that get
Technically.
used up.
I mean, if you're bad at the game, then prosthetics are a resource. But yeah,
It happens. Dude. People lose limbs in this game.
I know, it is so ridiculous how fast people could just lose a limb, and it's like I was trying not to have to deal with prosthetics.
But then that also goes into I'll let you continue before we get there.
So at the early game, it's like really hard to gather all these like resources, just because there's when you set up the generator initially, there's like little resource piles around. There's like wood crates and steel ringages that you can get your people to like take all that stuff out. But after that, they don't just like replenish. So like once those things are done, that's all you got.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few trees that are usually around like the crater, and you can just set up like a sawmill and stuff. But like everything else, you either have to like go out and find it in the frozen wasteland with scouts and stuff, or you have to use a steam core to set up like a building that can perpetually generate those resources for you.
Yeah.
But the thing with steam cores is they aren't like as efficient as a building that doesn't use a steam core, right? So like if you have a sawmill, it's going to generate a lot more like wood than a wall drill, which is going to generate wood.
Do you use the sawmills?
Yeah, I do it for like early game stuff.
Because I always skip over it.
You need a ton of wood to
Well,
get.
yeah, you definitely need the ton of wood, but I usually try to go straight to wall drill.
Mm-hmm. Usually I'll go, it depends, because it's like on harder difficulties, food is like a really big problem.
So you have to spend most of your resources getting food.
Yeah,
and
so
you can't really skip over anything.
It's like sawmills just boost your like your technology.
Yeah.
And so that really helps, like, so you get sawmills, and then like the first level of research is like 50 wood. So that's already going to take up a big chunk.
Yeah.
And then most of the buildings also need wood. But then you also have to balance out steel, because you need steel.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think it comes in handy for research too.
yeah. Exactly. You'll need steel eventually. So you'll have to.
I'm always running out of steel.
Yeah, I know. Steel is like the hardest part to get to like transition to after you've like gotten enough wood.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but yeah, like food is like such an issue. I don't know if it's like they programmed it that way on purpose, but like the people literally just like take every single piece of food out of storage, even if they don't need to eat it. Like literally, it is just insane how much food they just consume.
Like piranhas.
Yeah, literally. So there's that, and then there's also the tech tree, where you research like various buildings and stuff like that to help you improve and get efficiency in collecting resources. And then there's also a law tree, like a book of laws or whatever. And
I try and stay away from it as long as I can.
The book of laws?
Yeah.
Oh man, why? Do you just like not sign anything?
I think it's my heart.
Oh yeah,
It's
it
like,
hurts.
it's like very controlling over people
Hmm.
and what they, you know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's very dark. It
It's
is a
very
very
dark
dark
game.
because it's like
It's about survival, so you have to make hard
literally,
choices throughout the whole thing.
yeah, literally, it's survival of the fittest, and it's
Hmm.
like we can't just like give people a full ration
Yeah.
of stuff because it's like, well, we will die
Yeah.
if we do that. So you can either sign a, do I give my people?
Oh, you're talking about just the law tree in general.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
talking
talking about
about
the base one.
the order versus the.
Yeah, no, I haven't talked about that yet.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so I'm just strictly talking about like early games, so like the
Okay.
base law tree,
Early game.
where it's like focusing on survival. So like the first major law that people sign is like extended shift,
Yeah.
or 24-hour shift.
Actually, if we're going into laws, I go in there right off the bat.
Mhm.
I'm like, we got to get these laws
Yeah,
passed so I
come on.
can get the stuff.
I
you know?
I always rush 24 hours and then extended shift.
I'm a little more messed up than you. I don't rush that one. I don't
Why?
care about it. I rush child labor.
Well, that changes things.
But it gives you so much more manpower. It gives you
I
like
know.
20 more people.
The thing is like what I'm doing is focusing on like I'm thinking like really in-game kind of levels of trying to make sure like people just well because the early game is so resource intense and it's like
Mhm.
if you don't take the right steps correctly
It'll
you
affect
can
you down the line.
really mess you up or you can just immediately die at the beginning.
Yeah.
So I like to go like the extended shift because like you know get you a ton of resources
Yeah.
a lot more, and then I go with the soup law, which is
Yeah, I think I do too.
you can either choose to give your peoples, you can either choose to make two pieces of food out of one ration, and
With
you can
sawdust, right?
make soup. That's this is the
With the
soup one.
soup. Yeah.
But your people will be discontented.
yeah.
So it'll fill up like a red bar, and if that gets too high, then they'll kick you the fuck out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if they lose hope, then they kick you the fuck out. As
Yeah.
well. So you have those two things to manage as well, and then there's like you can make 3 pieces of food from one ration, but it's
You use sawdust
Sawdust.
additives. Yeah.
and they get sick. They
Yeah.
get sick more frequently.
But sick is like the most unredeeming thing because once someone's sick, they're out.
It's almost unrecoverable
Yes.
to get done.
So, I mean, it's kind of like a no-brainer to go for soup because they're going to be a little mad, but they're not going to die.
At least they
so,
won't die, right?
Yeah.
And it's like we need the resources and the manpower, so get going. And I also go with like instead of child labor, I end up going with the other one's like child center or something. And it's basically like a little orphanage that they can go to during the
Yeah.
day. Because the one after that, you can either make them apprentices for like the scientists or the medical people.
Mm-hmm.
And I usually give them to the medical people, and that increases their chances of
Not getting sick. And
yeah.
stuff.
Well, it increases the efficiency of the whatever the medical outpost or the hospital.
That actually,
Yeah,
I'll probably do that next time.
I trust
because
me.
I just send them out the calls.
Yeah, no, trust me, it is really good. Like, because at the end game, I don't even have to have like a bunch of medical posts set up.
Mhm.
I can just have one hospital staffed by like 5 people, and they are curing everybody like in a day. It's
Okay.
like super efficient.
Okay.
So as the game progresses, you're building out your town. You got all these houses. You're really trying to manage like the spacing of all your houses too, because it's like you need to make sure that they're in a good enough area where like they will get in the steam circle or the heat circle,
Yeah.
so that they stay warm and they don't get sick. And then you're also trying to manage like your food resources and all this other stuff. And as you're doing that, you're sending out scouts into the frozen wasteland, and they're like kind of like uncovering like what's going on out there.
Yeah.
And they eventually end up finding like a scientist like weather station, and they're saying like there's like a big storm coming.
Yeah.
And that sort of like kicks out like the end game for that
Story.
for the main story,
Yeah.
where it's like there's a gigantic storm coming.
Yeah.
And it's going to be it's an insane challenge because not only do you have to stock up all the resources that you've been trying to get over the entire course of the game. But then now you have a storm that's coming through that will knock out like all of your buildings. Nothing will have, nothing will be able to be used. Like you can't make any food during that time, and you can't use like coal thumpers that make like a ton of coal. So you can't use those at all. So like you're basically, your city's at a standstill, and you better hope you have enough resources to last out like several days. And the weather is increasingly dropping and dropping and dropping. And it's just like a really fun, like trying to manage every single thing
to a city builder game.
Yeah. And so they recently announced that they're coming out with another one, Frostpunk 2.
So I found out about this just now from Chase. So I'm pretty stoked about it.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
It's coming out in the middle of the summer, so it'll be a little warm. A little warm release, but
it'll make you feel a little more gratitude towards the heat.
Yeah. So this one takes place 30 years after the big storm hit and the original like main story. So now your city isn't like just this little thing that you were trying to build to survive. Now it's like an actual city with like laws and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like you're still trying to survive, but you're not building for survival. You're just building to thrive now, basically. And so a lot of it is like, so in the first game you would build a house, right? And this one you're building like a whole district at once. So you're building like a science district, or like an hunting, or like a food district, like for farms and stuff like that. So you're building out all these other places and expanding like rapidly. And the main focus is to be about the like human nature, where it's kind of like self-destructive in a way if you don't rein it in properly, if you don't like give it a clear direction. So the main focus now, instead of just passing laws from the book of laws like you used to be able to, you are now in charge of like a council of people.
Oh, like for like social issues and stuff like that.
Yeah. So you'll have different factions that will like, they'll want different things, right? So maybe there's like a science faction that wants more funding or like more resources put into researching science stuff. Or you'll have hunters that want to put more funding into going out and getting food. Yeah. And depending on who you side with, or who you can convince, will change how the city, like, what the city will like turn into, basically. And then those factions can split up into two different factions. So like the hunters can be like, I don't know, like, there can be more like survivalist hunters, where they're like super like extreme, like go out in the wild, like we want to like survey everything, kind of like the scouts, I guess. And then there can be more like farming focused, where it's like we want food in the city, like right here. And then same thing for the scientists, they can change to be like, we need to make tech into like a part of our daily life, like tech needs to be one with us. So they like go crazy for like tech. So
do you like cyborgs and stuff?
Yeah, like just crazy shit. So like they can just be like, it's like extremists, So it's like all these like branches from those two main groups are starting to like, you got like the next level, and then you've got this like sort of separate extreme group that wants these changes, but they're like really loud and doing all this other stuff, and there's unrest in the city. So you have to manage that. So it's like a bigger scope of things, because in the first game you were just one dude. You were put in charge of deciding everything. Yeah.
So is it one city, or are you expanding into multiple cities?
From what I can tell, it's still one city, but I could be wrong about that. From what I've read on the like listing page, it doesn't say like multiple cities.
Okay. It's just on a way bigger scale.
Yeah, because instead of building like 2 houses, you're building an entire district on its own.
Apartment complex.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm so stoked.
And
I'm so glad. I love hearing about new games that are like you've slept on, like you didn't even know that anything was going down, and then you're like, oh yeah, in 2 months it will come out.
Yeah, it's almost here.
Yeah. So it's like, this is a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah. Versus hearing about something like GTA, it's like, oh, that'll be done in 2050.
Yeah. I know. Literally. Or like next Elder Scrolls, like Jesus Christ.
Well, thanks for letting us know.
We'll be there, I guess. I hope.
I hope I live that long.
Yeah. Honestly. Yeah. So it's looking really good from the screenshots and everything I've seen. It looks really impressive.
It does. The screenshots you showed, it was just like very oh man, like there's it looks like there's trains, there's different locations,
right,
as far as like the whole map goes,
right.
And man, that just to know how extensive it could get, and you still got to worry about the heat aspect, you still got to worry about like all of those things, man. That
it's gonna be cool.
It's gonna be pretty cool. Probably
literally cool.
This has potential. I'll say this right now. This has potential to be the best city builder ever.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. Did you play any of the DLCs for the Crossplay?
I think I tried. I think there was like a prequel or something like that, and I just didn't find it very interesting. I think I'm more in when it comes to city builders. I'm not very into the different scenarios you can do, because I feel like when you're a city builder, you're trying to be like creative with what you're doing, and it kind of makes it more linear with what you can do. Because the scenario might, I mean, I have seen some cool scenarios in different city builders, but when it's just like, I don't know, like they just change one aspect of it, like they remove the food sources that you usually have, it's like, okay, it's just a bigger headache now, you know?
Yeah.
But when it comes to like seeing the creativity that was put into the game and all the laws and stuff, they were to expand on that in a different scenario, I'd be like all in.
I think you would really like some of the DLCs then.
Yeah.
Because, well, at least the first two were kind of like part of like the same, like it's freezing, it's really cold. So yeah, there was like a scenario called the Refugees in the first game, where you are basically like, it's like you were part of another generator group, an expedition group that set up town, and like all the people were being jerks to you, so you guys like set off on your own with another generator and set up shop like somewhere else. And then eventually like more and more refugees start coming to your town, and you can either accept them or deny them, but like it gets to the point where like you're building where you have like over 500 people in your town, because there's so many people coming. And then it ends up that the generator, the city was like poorly mismanaged, so that they lost coal, they lost all the resources in the other city, and then those people that were jerks to your citizens start coming over to your town and want to move in, and then you have like that clash going on between the two of them. And so you not only do you have
the new one,
no, not the new one. That's a scenario in the first one.
You're talking about the scenarios.
Yeah, and the DLC for the first one. So this is like, you have to still manage like 500 people, still get their houses all warm, but you still have to build houses, and you know, it's the whole thing. But the last two scenarios that they added were like really, really good. So like one of them was the prequel that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Where you are the first ones to build the generator.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have you can have like ships that are like going back to the mainland, and you can order stuff, and building a generator up, and you sort of see like the first signs of the winter approaching.
Yeah.
So it's just like the base gets like really, really cold and stuff like that. But the main thing was like focusing on getting the parts needed to build the generator and dealing with the scenarios
before it gets cold. The
scenarios that are happening with the generator, because this is like supposed to be like it's not Victorian England, but like the Industrial Revolution kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where
everything was run on
really
coal
bad.
Yeah.
And there's like a lot of problems with workers' rights and stuff like that. Yeah. So there's scenarios in the game DLC where they're like, the workers will strike if you don't treat them properly.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so you have to deal with that while also trying to get the generator finished in time. Um, it's a really, really good scenario in terms of like story and stuff like that, and trying to like manage
So
that.
people haven't really let go of the idea of this is survival. They're still on their old society where you aren't known for treating your workers very well,
Hmm.
and that there's kind of gonna be society to go back to
Right.
kind of
It's
attitude.
that's what's so cool about it too, because
Yeah,
it's like they
y'all aren't ready for what
you don't know what's gonna
you don't
happen.
know what's-
They think they're just gonna be able to go home and see their kids and everything, and
Yeah.
everything will be fine. But like as you're like playing through it, you sort of like get reports every now and then, and one of them is like, yeah, there's complete societal collapse. Like people are like rioting in the streets because there's a shortage of food and stuff. And then
Mhm.
as you're playing it, it's like the it starts snowing, and you're like, oh fuck,
sounds-
this isn't good.
So is it like is the ice removed on the thing?
Yeah,
Is
no,
it,
it's
is
like
it
it's green.
summertime?
Yeah, it's green. It's beautiful.
That's pretty crazy.
It's crazy because and they also have like an expedition area that when you like zoom out and
Mhm.
you can send your scouts out, and then that also starts like turning iced over,
Mm.
and then at the very end it's like very 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 like snowing and hailing and shit like that, and very very cold. And they don't have the generator up yet, obviously.
Yeah.
So what they do is like they put these like big bowls of coal, and they just light it on fire and use that to heat the area.
Okay.
And yeah, they're really really cool idea. And then the last one is actually like it happens like I think it's like a few years after the main story, where
Oh.
you're setting up an outpost for the main city,
Oh.
for like New London, I think it was called. And so you're like on a new city on a cliff, and you're the outpost, and there's like a big mine that you can get steam cores out of and
Yeah.
steel, and you can send that back to the city. But the city starts treating you like really poorly. So they start like demanding higher quotas, and if you don't meet them, they won't send you food.
What?
Or if you send them,
That's dumb as hell.
I
though.
know, I
That's
know.
That's dumb.
And if you send them,
So you're gonna starve your outpost if the one that's giving you all the
yeah,
resources?
yeah.
Okay.
And then it's like, and if you miss one, they send you like half. They send you half of the food.
Okay. Well, then that's
Yeah.
a good motivator.
Yeah, but and then so you're sending all that stuff. Things are going okay. It's a really annoying, but whatever. And then as it's progressing, they end up not sending you food as you're sending out shipments. You're like, what's going on? And so eventually the treatment gets so bad that you decide, I'm done. Like the whole city just like, we're not working with you anymore. We're cut off.
So is it like colonizing? Like the
Yeah.
what happened with the revolution? Like
Oh no.
so it's like we came over to the U.S. and then
Oh,
we're
yeah.
like
You're
taxing
treating
the
us
shit
like
out of us.
shit.
So we're gonna be our own thing. Is
Yeah.
it kind of like that?
Yeah, and you
Oh,
can like
okay.
anger them
Cool.
and just be on your own, because it's not like they can like really do anything to you,
Yeah, well, what are
because
you
they got their
gonna do?
own shit to deal with.
They're like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, and
Bitches.
it's cool because like in this one, the like main gimmick is there's actually other settlements around your base. So there's people like in a hot spring that have a bunch of food. It's like a natural hot spring, and so they're making a bunch of food, and you can trade with them to get
Okay.
food for your base, because on your base you're on a giant cliff. You don't have any access to like regular food.
Yeah.
So you can't send out your hunters or anything. So, and then there's like a ship wreckage site
Mm-hmm.
that's all about producing steel and wood. So you trade with them, and it's like a bunch of prisoners, and you trade with them to get steel and wood. And then the other one is a mine that it's like full of a bunch of like children and a few adults. I guess they like escaped to that from somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and you can obviously trade coal there and get that. And
So you become like a trading hub.
yeah, so you're like working with all these people to like get you resources that you can't
Yeah.
have, and then building up your base, and then also you can build up their bases as well by sending them resources. Like I will send wood and steel to the people that have a farm because they don't have that resource.
Yeah.
They don't collect that themselves. And I can send food to the prisoners and to the
And you
people
get to
in the
watch them build up too.
Yeah, and they build up their base. It's not like you see it like 3D being built up, but you like send them these resources,
And you get to see them progress as well.
and then that in turn boosts their efficiency and their resources, so they send you more. Right.
Oh, cool. So it's like you kind of partner with them.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a really cool thing. You can choose to like do missions for them. So like you can send like one of your research team to like go help the food people see if they can be more efficient with their stuff.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So it's really cool, and you can manage all the relationships and stuff like that. They can be really pissed off at you if you don't do things right, or they can be really happy and really loyal, and they can just send you a bunch of shit. And eventually it ends up with like the main city is like collapsing, like it was mismanaged, and there's no resources at all. So all the survivors are coming to your base on the cliffside. So you end up having to like build up for all these people. But if you built up your relationship with everybody around you, they'll pull all the resources for you and get that done.
Okay.
So it's like, it's a really cool.
That seems like a pretty cool scenario. I gotta check that out.
And it really like leads, I feel like it leads into Frostpunk 2 as well.
Oh, really?
With like how like human nature will like
Comes
you
into effect.
like because in the main scenario you're the one that built up that city to where it was, and then they fucked it up.
I led you this far. And
Yeah.
You follow me.
Literally messed it all up, and then so I think that's why Frostpunk is just like so good to me. It's just like
It's
so
so
much story.
unique.
Yeah,
So unique.
it's so unique. It's so good. It's so cool.
Because the concept is like a very good depiction of like what it would be like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's really a love letter to desperation, and it's a very it makes it a very entertaining game because you're on the cusp of death.
Yeah.
With everybody
Constantly.
else, and you're leading these people, and you don't know if you're making the right choices the whole way through.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Something you can make could sell. A decision you make could sell everybody over the edge, and they just kick you out.
Yeah.
Or like your city just starts
Or
falling
it
apart.
could kill everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody dies. But they'll kick you out before that happens. Most of the time.
Yeah, there is a ending where everybody dies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought so. Because I remember that most of the time I got kicked out
Mm-hmm.
because they're just like, we've had it with you.
Yeah.
And it sucks because it's like, I've done so much for you.
I did all this.
I did all this.
I
for
did
you.
all of this for you.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited, bro. I'm excited
Yeah.
for Frostpunk 2. That's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, it is going to be a really fun game. I'm going to sink a lot of hours into that, especially if they have more like scenarios and stuff too.
Yeah.
They change up the game. I'm looking forward to it.
That was an episode of Top Tier Play. Thank you for watching.
And be sure to check out the rest of our content on Typhoon. We've got a bunch more coming for you. Stay tuned.
Nice.